Hi everybody and welcome back to the Tasting Room. We're sampling today a bourbon from a new distillery in Bardstown, Kentucky, or newer, rather, last couple years. This is from the Bardstown Bourbon Company. This is their Fusion Series 3. Alright, so this is an interesting one here. So like I mentioned, the Bardstown Bourbon Company, they've been in business now for just a couple of years. I don't know if they've been selling for more than the last year or two, but I believe they're about 3 years old. And what's different about them, and what I kind of like about them, is there's a lot of distilleries down there who they always stick to the old ways of doing things, and they're very traditional, and the rick houses are all old and made of wood, and they do things in all the old-fashioned ways, and I love that and I respect that. However, the Bardstown Bourbon Company, they have it's very different. They put a new, very modern spin on everything. Their bar inside is gorgeous, just very modern. I'll try to throw some pictures up here for you so you can get a general feel of what I'm talking about. But just a very, and they seem like they're very business smart. They're while they get their operation up and running, they're distilling for other distilleries who can't quite meet the capacity, and they like to take a little bit of their product from everyone they distill from, and kind of mix and blend, and obviously they get permission to do all of this. But and this is kind of where they came up with this Fusion series here. Now they can't tell us whose other bourbon that they use, but they don't want to bottle their own new make spirit yet, just because they don't feel it's mature enough. Their distillery is only, like I said, it's about 3 years old, and they don't want to bottle just to get to the shelf a subpar quality product. But they do want to start selling some of their products. So they came up with an interesting solution, this Fusion series here. It blends some of another distillery's products, presumably something that they've distilled and aged for someone else, with some of their products. So you get a little bit of product from the Bardstown Bourbon Company, and then a little bit from someone else, just for the age and the extra character. So this one here is the Fusion Series 3. This is a blend of 40% of a 13-year-old bourbon, which with a mash bill of 74% corn, 18% rye, and 8% malted barley. So it's 40% of not their spirit. It's an older 13-year-old product. Then it's got two other spirits in here, bourbons from the Bardstown Bourbon Company. This is 18% of their 3-year-old bourbon, which is 68% corn, 20% wheat, and 12% malted barley. And then it's got 42% of their other 3-year, 60% corn, 36% rye, and 4% malted barley. So it's kind of interesting. They threw a little bit of a wheated bourbon in there, and I'm not sure why they did that. It's because I mean a wheat kind of typically a wheated bourbon. The wheat as a cereal grain doesn't really add much flavor. It just kind of, to me, mellows out the whiskey so that more of the sweetness from the corn can shine through. But there's only 18% of that wheated bourbon in there, so this is kind of a 4-grain whiskey here. Anyway, so this is their Fusion number 3. While I was at the distillery this past fall, we sampled out of their barrel the Fusion Series number 2, and this is this kind of the same thing, except this is 1 year older. And this one is here bottled at 49.45%, so 98.9 proof. Just an odd proof if it's not a cask strength, but And this bottle is actually hand-signed by the head distiller, Nick Smith. So that's kind of cool. But anyway, I think I've talked long enough. Let's get to the actual review. Okay, the first time I poured this, I didn't get this right away. But now that it's sit here and has been breathing while I've been running my mouth here, I'm getting a creamy vanilla right up front on the nose. So that's kind of interesting. I'm getting some apples and pears, some lighter fruit notes. A little bit of a floral tone. Definitely some honey in there. A little bit grainy. You can kind of pick up some of the corn and the rye. It's got a slightly nutty feel to it. There's a lot going on in this nose here. It's interesting. Okay, so right away on the palate, I'm getting a raisiny, kind of a dried fruit tone. It's a little bit chewy. And then I'm getting some charred wood. And right after that charred wood note, the spice kind of hits and takes over the palate. Very bold rye spice. Boy, and then you get all that heat from that high proof in there. Yeah, very, very, very powerful on the palate. Okay, very long finish for this one, but also very hot. The proof on this one is really kind of rearing its head. Once you get past that, though, it's a little bit woody. It's a little bit nutty. There's a little hint of maybe cocoa or something on the palate. Well, there you have it, folks, the Bardstown Bourbon Company. So to rate this one, on the nose we've got some of those lighter fruit notes like apples and pears, along with some creamy vanilla. Some definite honey in there, some floral tones. Very nice. I'm going to go ahead and give the nose on this one 22.5 points. On the palate right away, chewy and raisiny with some of those dried fruit notes. Definitely had a charred wood feel before the spice and the heat kind of set in from the rye and the higher proof on this one. I'm going to give the taste for this 21 points. Finish on this one long, very hot. When you got through that, there were some definite notes of wood and some nuttiness. And even a little bit of cocoa on the palate. I'm going to give the finish 20.5 points. And then the overall balance for this one I'm going to put at 20. There was definitely a lot going on in here. But I thought it was at least a little bit apparent that there were some younger whiskeys hanging around in this blend. Which is, of course, the reason why they didn't want their spirit to stand alone in a bottle. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on these guys, and I'm really excited to see what they come up with in the next coming years. So there you have it, folks. This is going to leave us with an overall score of 84 points for this Bardstown Bourbon Company Fusion Series number 3. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you give it a thumbs up or leave a comment in the comment section down below. And then, of course, if you're not already a member to my channel, go ahead and hit that button and subscribe. And then after you do, make sure you ding that little bell next to the subscribe button to make sure you get notifications when new videos come out. New videos come out on the weekends, and I would hate for you to miss one, so go ahead and do that for me, and I will see you again next week, right here on The Tasting Room.